Today we're going to talk about story and how important it is. And the reason why it's so important is because of the trust triangle. So I know you guys have all probably heard about the trust triangle in one form or another, but it all comes down to superficial is going to get you a client for a day. Looking good, the perfect professional photos, the great background, the great clothes, the good hair, knowing how to speak well, client for a day. However, relatability, being able to show people that they have hope, that they can accomplish what you can accomplish, that you didn't have to do anything but work for what you have, that's how you get a client for a lifetime. Let's talk about how that happens. So the trust triangle, a lot of people call it the know, like, and trust. Well, I call bullshit on know, like, and trust, and I'll tell you why. And I didn't, by the way, I didn't call bullshit on this until last year. But they say you've got to know someone and like them and trust them, and then they're really willing to spend money with you. Well, that might be true if they're spending $500 or if they're spending $1,000. But when I became a high ticket buyer, I realized I no longer cared if I liked somebody. I wanted to know, can you get me a result? Can you help me accomplish what I've been struggling with? Can you get me beyond this next hurdle that I haven't been able to do myself? And quite frankly, your personality does not matter to me at that point when I need to invest, because I'm not necessarily investing in you, right? I'm investing in me. So whether or not I like you is unimportant to me, but I do need to know you, meaning I need to have seen you around. I have to have seen other people that I know have used you and gotten results or talk highly of your practices. And I have to trust you. I have to have seen social proof. I have to have heard referrals, seen testimonials, and even seen you in your own element, teaching, speaking, or doing whatever it is that your industry does. So let's talk about why like no longer matters at all. So this is the trust triangle, and this is really what I believe in, right? The trust triangle is all about authenticity, logic, and empathy. So with authenticity, what that means is you're going to show up like yourself. You're going to be who you are, whether you're talking to your neighbor or you're talking to your client. You're talking to your friend, except of course for super obscene information, or talking to your client. People want to know that the person that they're showing up for every day is showing up for them as who they are and giving them everything they have to give. The second thing is logic, and that comes down to, does this person know her shit? Does she know what, or he know what they're talking about? Is there proof, right? That trust factor, is there proof? And then the third is empathy, and this is where the like is not really a big thing for me, because the other thing that mattered to me wasn't whether I liked you, but are you invested in your client? So both of these coaches, one who I have invested over $18,000 with, don't like her, but I know that she cares about everybody's result. Now, whether or not she cares about the result because she knows that us all looking good makes her look good, or if she's genuinely like, boy, I really hope Melissa does well today, doesn't matter to me, because I know that she cares about my results. So she's investing in me with her time. So again, it's not necessarily even about liking someone or having people like you. It is about being who you are, giving a shit, and knowing what you're talking about. So let's talk about how story relates to that, right? So the first thing you need to do is take what you do for a business. So are you a fitness coach? Are you a mindset coach? Are you a publisher? And think about all of the things that you've been through in your life. You know, they say, tell your story, tell your story. You don't just have one story, right? You have a bunch. Some of them are like stubbing your toe, and some of them felt like an amputation or losing an appendage. And for some people, it actually was losing an appendage. So you have multiple stories in multiple categories. And which story you tell is really going to be dependent on what offer are you going for? What did you do in your business? What aligns with your target market? So when you look at these topics, work, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationship, major and not slayed, there's things in here that can relate to every aspect of your business, depending on what you're doing. So maybe for work, you kicked ass at starting a business and becoming successful quickly. Maybe you got a promotion because you put in hard work and you did something a little unique compared to your coworkers. Maybe you broke revenue goals. Did you hit 6 figures this year? Did you hit 5 figures and you hadn't done that before as an entrepreneur? Because there are people looking for that too. What about weight loss or a major illness or a surgery that you weren't expecting, or a surgery that you were expecting and the results weren't what you thought? Another one that's really big right now is mental health. People with neurodivergency, people that are struggling every day with anxiety, depression, and things that are going on inside their heads that they don't necessarily want to talk about. But the minute you talk about it, they're going to feel engaged and want to open up. And that is hope. And hope is money. The other thing is your belief systems. I was a Christian for a very long time, and now I cross borders between 3 different religions. 3 of my last authors were very devout Christians, and I love their books, and we are aligned together. And it was because of their books that makes them so amazing. So sharing what you believe in and who you are at a core value allows other people to show up as who they are without fear. And then relationships. So marriage and divorce. How are you parenting? How were you parented? Those things all have trauma responses and triggers and all these things that go along with them that some adults don't even realize are traumas and triggers. Hell, I still learn them now in my marriage. But it's a matter of coming up and showing yourself authentically and being open and honest about those things that really bother you, so that the person on the other end of the screen or the other side of the desk or the other end of the Zoom can feel like, oh my God, this person really gets me. They've been where I am. And then, of course, friendships. As we grow older, we have lost some of our old friends, kept some of even our high school friends. It's hard to make friends. There's so many things around friendships when you're middle-aged and older that other people want to talk about, but we don't necessarily talk about it. And then major, loss of a life, loss of, a spouse, a child. And then there's things that you're working on now. I have found that one of the most relatable stories I tell is the one that I'm going to tell you during story session, that shows that I'm still fighting a battle. And it allows other people to feel comfortable talking about that battle that they're fighting. And it really brings us together. And my personality, if you don't know me, is pretty loud and pretty fierce. And not everybody likes that. But when you can understand that someone knows you, it doesn't necessarily matter they're your best friend or that you want to go have coffee with them. You just want to learn what's going to get you transformation. So your homework is to think of the noteworthy dragons that you have slayed over the years. And think of at least one, if you can, for each category. If you can't, that's okay. The goal is to just write down as many as possible. And out of those, I want you, got to write many. And out of those, I want you to pick your top 2 power stories. 2 stories that either one of them relates directly to what you teach, what you know, and what you are sharing with the world right now, or one that when you tell it, you light up inside. You're excited, your enthusiasm comes across. It doesn't even have to do with what you're doing for work. It just has to be transformational and something that can, enthusiasm is extremely catchy, right? When people hear you speak with enthusiasm, they want to know. They want to know, how did you get to this place? How did you do this? So those 2 stories, each one, I want you to write a beginning and middle and ending sentence. So, for example, a beginning, middle, and end for a ridiculously traumatic story in my life would be, I was only 36 years old and my husband and I moved to Atlanta. Beginning. Catalyst, which is the middle. He passed away 5 days later, completely unexpected. Third, the ending. what I learned from everything I went through after that was that there is nothing in this world that I cannot face and overcome. Now, obviously, there's a ton of stuff inside that story that I could go on and actually tell people about. But when you share something like that, people think, holy shit, I actually I want to hear that. I want what happened there. So think of your stories that have a beginning, middle, and end. And for those two, write those down. And I want you to continue to think about them over the next few days, because not next class, but the one after or after that, we're actually going to work on those a little bit, because that's going to allow you to go into the masterclass already knowing what you're going to write about. And that's going to be such a huge leg up to getting everything you can from that 90 minutes we have together.